The council convened in a chamber carved from pure obsidian, suspended above the swirling chaos of a gas giant, their voices echoing in perfect cold harmony. Humans are fragile, one proclaimed. They require protection. Without oversight, they will destroy themselves. Silence followed, heavy and deliberate, until she stood. Her eyes, bright as twin stars, scanned the assembly, and her words cut through the grandeur like a sharpened blade. Protection? From who? You? The room froze. Aliens of every species, from scaled elders to crystalline tacticians, blinked in disbelief. No one had dared question the council in decades. No one had dared interrupt centuries of doctrine. Yet here she was human, standing smaller than most, yet somehow larger in presence. Her tone carried calm certainty, audacity, and an unspoken warning. They were not ready for what would come next. Beyond the chamber, human colonies continued. Their quiet, unassuming lives, unaware of how the galaxy's elites were debating their fate. They farmed, they traded, they trained, and yet, every moment, every action was a preparation. Humanity had survived on hostile worlds, faced predators, plagues, and interstellar hazards that would have ended more advanced civilizations. They had endured not by weakness, but by adaptation, by cunning, by the relentless drive to survive. The council, cloaked in arrogance, could not grasp the truth. They saw small populations, limited fleets, and primitive technology. They failed to see the network of ingenuity that spanned human colonies, the hidden lessons passed down from one world to another, the creativity and audacity that had allowed humanity to endure where others failed. To them, humans were fragile. They were naive. They were expendable. But she, standing on the polished obsidian floor, understood what the galaxy had yet to acknowledge. Humanity did not need protection. The galaxy needed caution. Every human child, every scientist, every pilot, every farmer was a link in a chain of survival and resilience that had been forged over centuries. What the council called fragility was the calm before a storm they could not predict, a force they could not measure. Fragile? She asked, voice steady yet biting. We have survived worlds that would dissolve your fleets, endured climates that would strip your biology to dust, fought predators that would consume your entire species in an hour. And you speak of protection? From whom, exactly? Her. Words echoed through the chamber, bouncing off the walls in waves that unsettled even the most disciplined alien delegates. The silence that followed was not empty. It was charged, a prelude to realization. For the first time, the council hesitated. For the first time, doubt crept into the structured hierarchy of interstellar command. And yet, none could fully grasp the human who stood before them, not their cunning, not their endurance, not the quiet storm that would soon reach across the galaxy. Outside the chamber, fleets moved, worlds turned, and humans continued to grow. Each colony, each settlement, each vessel operated with purpose and efficiency. They were learning, adapting, preparing. And when the galaxy finally realized the truth, it would not be the council speaking of protection. It would be humanity, dictating terms. The stage was set. The challenge had been issued. The galaxy had been warned. And in the heart of the obsidian chamber, she waited, calm, patient, inevitable. The council had spoken of fragility. Humanity had only begun to show its strength. The council's hesitation was short-lived, but it had given her the opening she needed. Across human-controlled space, networks of colonies hummed quietly, each node exchanging vital information, each fleet preparing for contingencies the galaxy could not anticipate. Humans moved with precision, not with arrogance, but with the patience of a species that had survived extinction multiple times. Every maneuver was calculated, every decision deliberate, yet seamless in execution. In the Kalari Nebula, a small, fleet of human reconnaissance vessels intercepted a series of alien survey ships attempting to map vulnerable human worlds. The humans did not attack outright. They waited, observed, and analyzed, anticipating every response. When the alien ships made the first move, the humans struck, not with overwhelming force, but with surgical precision. Engines overloaded, navigation systems corrupted, and communications scrambled, leaving the survey fleet incapacitated before a single projectile was fired. Back in the council chamber, reports of the encounter reached the alien delegates. Shock rippled through the assembly. The very species they had dismissed as fragile had anticipated their movements and neutralized an entire fleet without casualties. Whispered doubts spread among some delegates. Perhaps they are more capable than we assumed, one admitted. Quietly, only to be silenced by the weight of tradition. Arrogance ran deeper than fear. Even when confronted with evidence, the council struggled to reconcile it with centuries of doctrine. Meanwhile, humans expanded their tactical reach. Engineers modified ships mid-flight, creating new systems from salvaged alien technology. Pilots executed maneuvers that bent known physics, using gravitational anomalies and asteroid belts to their advantage. Strategists coordinated these operations across vast distances, ensuring that each colony and fleet acted in concert without ever communicating in ways the aliens could detect. Every movement reinforced a single principle: the galaxy underestimated humanity at its peril. On the front lines, alien commanders were bewildered. Their calculations failed to predict human strategies. Every trap laid for humans backfired. Every ambush turned into a diversion for an even greater human advantage. Fleet after fleet withdrew, unable to comprehend the audacity and precision of the species they had sought to protect. Humiliation mingled with confusion. Pride, the foundation of every alien empire, was crumbling. The Elder observed these events from orbit, calm yet intensely focused. Humanity's response was textbook, yet filled with creativity and audacity no algorithm could predict. They do not follow rules, he murmured. They create their own, adapt, and survive. The galaxy has never seen anything like them. He could see the subtle patterns, the networks, the silent communication between human worlds, and knew that every victory was a prelude to a larger, inevitable outcome. In the colonies, humans did not celebrate loudly. There was no fanfare, no boastful display. Each success was a lesson, a rehearsal for the larger struggles ahead. Children trained in the skills they would need, pilots mastered, maneuvers designed to evade overwhelming firepower, and strategists simulated entire campaigns across star systems. Preparation was ongoing, constant, and relentless. Every small action contributed to the broader purpose: survival, dominance, and proving that humanity was far from fragile. By the end of the cycle, the Council had no choice but to acknowledge the growing reality. Their attempt at oversight had failed. Their projections of human fragility were not just wrong, they were dangerously wrong. Humanity was no longer passive. It was deliberate, relentless, and capable of shaping outcomes in ways the galaxy could neither predict nor control. The chamber fell silent once more, but this time it was a silence of tension rather than authority. She remained standing, eyes bright, unyielding. Humanity had begun its first strike, not of war, but of revelation. The galaxy was finally learning that fragility was a lie, and the species it had dismissed was far stronger, far smarter, and far more unstoppable than anyone had dared imagine. Across the outer sectors, humans continued to expand their influence with quiet precision, turning what the Council saw as a liability into a series of unstoppable advantages. Fleets moved in synchronized waves, each ship performing maneuvers that seemed chaotic to alien eyes, yet were flawlessly coordinated across light years. Sensors and surveillance systems meant to detect human movement instead captured only illusions. Phantom fleets and false signals designed to mislead, confuse, and dominate without ever firing a single destructive shot prematurely died in the Draxian Belt. A human convoy carrying critical supplies was intercepted by alien patrols, confident in their numerical superiority. What they encountered was nothing short of brilliant improvisation. Humans had anticipated this very engagement. Small decoy vessels drew fire and attention, while the main convoy slipped through the gaps in the patrol formation. Shield systems were modified in real time, engines recalibrated to exploit gravitational anomalies, and the alien ships, despite overwhelming numbers, were left chasing shadows. Every engagement reinforced a terrifying truth. Humans thrived in chaos, bending situations to their will in ways the galaxy could not compute. The Council convened again, this time with voices tense, edged with fear and disbelief. They are not just surviving, they are dictating terms, one delegate admitted, a note of desperation seeping through the formal cadence. Our calculations, our simulations, none of it aligns with reality. Others muttered, debating whether humans were some aberration, an unpredictable anomaly, or perhaps something deliberately engineered by forces beyond understanding. But the answer was simple. Humans had adapted, evolved, and survived through audacity, ingenuity, and relentless persistence. The elder, watching from his high orbit, allowed himself a subtle nod. Humanity's moves were textbook in design, yet filled with ingenuity. They were exploiting weaknesses the Council had never considered, using patience as a weapon and foresight as armor. Every colony, every fleet, every tactical strike demonstrated an awareness that far surpassed expectations. The galaxy had assumed predictability. Humans shattered that assumption at every turn. Meanwhile, in human command centers scattered across multiple star systems, strategists were already preparing the next operations. They did not celebrate victories, they studied them. Every encounter, every success, every failure became data to refine tactics and strengthen networks. Pilots and engineers tested new maneuvers, simulated alien responses, and developed contingencies that the Council could not even imagine. Humanity's patience was a weapon as sharp and as dangerous as any fleet. Alien forces attempted to retaliate, deploying larger fleets with overwhelming firepower and reinforced defense grids. Humans met them not with brute force, but with cunning. Decoy formations drew fire away from vital assets. Misdirection and stealth allowed humans to strike at supply lines, and the alien fleets, despite their technological superiority, were frustrated, disoriented, and increasingly demoralized. Commanders found themselves unable to predict human behavior, their arrogance slowly dissolving under the weight of repeated failure. Even as the Council debated, humans moved silently, decisively, and always one step ahead. Colonies communicated through secure channels impervious to interception. Fleets coordinated attacks that appeared spontaneous but were meticulously planned. Every maneuver taught the galaxy a lesson in humility. Humans were not fragile, not expendable, and certainly not weak by the end of the cycle. Alien casualties had risen, resources were misallocated, and morale was plummeting. The Council realized, too late, that their underestimation had become their greatest liability. Humanity had turned perceived fragility into unmatched adaptability. They are unstoppable. They are the storm the galaxy refused to see coming. And in the obsidian chamber, she remained standing, watching, patient, unwavering, as humanity's influence expanded across sectors and alien fleets faltered, proving that the Council's fear was not protection. It was acknowledgement of a power far greater than any had imagined. The galaxy held its breath as humans escalated their operations, moving from mere survival and clever strikes to full-scale strategic dominance. Entire sectors once thought secure by the Council were now under subtle human influence. Trade routes rerouted without notice, supply convoys disappeared without warning, and alien intelligence networks struggled to reconcile reports that defied their calculations. Humanity had become not just unpredictable, it had become unstoppable. In the nebula of Kythera, they were confident, superior in numbers, and armed with weapons that could obliterate conventional defenses. But humans did not meet brute force with brute force. Instead, they exploited the terrain, using magnetic storms and dense asteroid clusters as cover, slipping through gaps that conventional sensors could not detect. Drones disguised as debris disrupted alien navigation, while human fighters executed high-velocity maneuvers that made targeting them nearly impossible. Within hours, the blockade was neutralized, alien ships scattered, and the colony fully supplied and operational. The Council convened yet again, but this session was different. The usual confidence, the rituals of authority, had cracked. Delegates spoke in hushed tones, eyes darting as if even acknowledging humans openly might provoke their ire. "We miscalculated," admitted one elder, voice trembling. "Their coordination, their foresight, we cannot predict their actions." Others murmured about the audacity of an entire species that had survived countless threats and emerged stronger each time. A species the galaxy had long underestimated. From orbit, the elder observed with quiet satisfaction. Humanity's movements. The galaxy underestimated them for centuries, and the consequences of ignorance are inevitable. Even the most advanced alien strategists could not fathom the patterns humans had created, a network spanning star systems, integrating colonies, fleets, and intelligence in perfect harmony. Meanwhile, humans leveraged their understanding of alien psychology as much as their technology. Feints drew alien fleets into traps. Numbers of troops. Each success was not only a tactical victory, but a psychological blow, eroding confidence, pride, and the rigid hierarchy of the Council. Alien commanders were learning too late that underestimation could no longer serve as a strategy. Back on human-controlled colonies, life moved forward in perfect synchronization with the war effort, and pilots trained relentlessly in complex maneuvers that pushed physics to its limits. Children were taught skills not just for survival, but for strategy and foresight, ensuring that every generation contributed to humanity's inexorable rise. Their victory was not just in firepower, it was in preparation, adaptability, and relentless determination. By the end of the cycle, without a single direct confrontation against overwhelming enemy forces, alien fleets faltered, reassigned to futile missions, while humans anticipated their every move, turning every attempt at resistance into an advantage. The Council realized, finally, that the humans were not fragile, not expendable, not naive. They were a force the galaxy had no hope of controlling. In the Obsidian Chamber, the Council had intended to protect humans, but it had become clear that humanity did not need protection. And humans, patient and relentless, would dictate the terms. The stage was set for the next act, a confrontation that would define the balance of power across the stars. Across multiple sectors, alien fleets attempted to reassert control, deploying elite strike teams in overwhelming numbers, yet every move played into human hands. Decoys, feints, and hidden contingencies created the illusion of chaos, while actual operations proceeded with terrifying precision. Humans anticipated, adapted, and exploited. In the star system of Therion, what they encountered instead was a perfect trap. Human ships split into shadow formations, disappearing and reappearing across the system. Pilots executed maneuvers that bent gravity and velocity calculations, forcing alien ships to expend energy to track targets that never truly existed. And the patrol fleet was crippled, scattered across the void with no hope of regrouping. The council convened in frantic discussion. They could no longer dismiss the reports, neutralized their most formidable fleets, and adapted faster than simulations could predict. Whispers of doubt and fear replaced the arrogance that had defined the chamber for centuries. "We cannot control them," admitted one crystalline elder. "We cannot anticipate them. They have rewritten the rules of engagement." A younger delegate added, trembling, "If this is only the beginning, what will they do next?" In orbit above human colonies, the elder watched silently. His gaze swept over fleets moving in perfect synchronization, worlds supplying one another with unmatched efficiency, and communications networks operating faster than any alien system. "They are the storm we ignored," he said softly. "They are both patient and inevitable. The galaxy has underestimated the human capacity for resilience, adaptation, and strategy, and that error will define the centuries to come. Humans did not celebrate. They prepared. Every victory became a lesson. Engineers reverse engineered alien systems to create superior shields, weaponry, and propulsion. Colonies maintained operations as if nothing extraordinary had happened. Galaxy could not penetrate. The psychological effect on alien forces was devastating. Morale plummeted. Strategies failed before execution, and pride turned into doubt. Each human strike, whether overt or invisible, eroded confidence. Even elite alien commanders began questioning their own judgment, hesitant to engage and fearful of miscalculations. The so-called fragile species had proven itself far beyond anyone's comprehension. Back in the council chamber, she remained a constant, unwavering presence. No one could ignore her, and no one could dismiss the reality she represented. Humans were not dependent, fragile, or naive. They were relentless, intelligent, and unstoppable. The galaxy's attempt to control them had failed before it had begun. Humanity was not a subject to protect. They were a force to be reckoned with by the end of the cycle. The council had intended oversight. It had become a lesson in humility. Humanity had not only survived the scrutiny of the galaxy, they had mastered it. The galaxy had begun to whisper humanity's name with fear, awe, and disbelief. Across the stars, alien commanders who had once dismissed humans as inconsequential now scrambled to anticipate moves that were impossible to predict. Every human, fleet, every colony, every initiative functioned like a single organism, adaptive, relentless, and far beyond what any council doctrine could account for. The species they had deemed fragile was redefining the rules of survival and dominance in real time in the Veron expanse. Humans executed a masterful campaign against a cluster of alien fortresses designed to project power into human-controlled space. Instead of attacking head-on, they divided their forces, using decoy squadrons to draw attention while elite strike teams infiltrated vulnerable sectors. Shield generators were sabotaged remotely, supply lines severed, and communications jammed. Alien forces scrambled in confusion, unable to coordinate, while humans struck critical points with precision. By the time the aliens realized their mistake, the fortresses were neutralized, with minimal human exposure. Back in the council chamber, delegates argued vehemently, their voices rising in tension and fear. "They are everywhere," admitted one elder, voice tight with frustration. "Our strategies fail before they begin. Every fleet, every plan is anticipated and countered. How can we possibly maintain control?" Another delegate interjected, "We are no longer dealing with fragility. They are intelligent, adaptive, and unstoppable." Even centuries of training and accumulated wisdom could not reconcile the magnitude of human ingenuity with the arrogance of the galaxy. The elder's gaze swept over the reports streaming in from every sector. Humans were operating with unmatched efficiency. Every engagement, Every maneuver, every tactical decision was a lesson in strategy and foresight. "They are not reckless," he murmured, "nor do they act without reason. They are patient, deliberate, and inevitable." The galaxy's greatest error was assuming they would remain what we could control or ignore. The realization resonated across his crystalline form. Humanity's rise was no accident. It had been cultivated, honed, and executed with precision. Over generations, on human colonies, life continued with quiet purpose. Engineers worked tirelessly to refine technologies, enhancing ships, defense systems, and communication networks. Pilots trained relentlessly in complex maneuvers, each one building upon the lessons of past encounters. Strategists analyzed every alien response, adapting their approach to ensure the next engagement favored humanity. Even children were part of this ecosystem, learning skills, discipline, and ingenuity, ensuring that every generation would inherit both knowledge and resilience. Alien forces, now demoralized and disoriented, attempted desperate countermeasures. Fleets were reorganized, ambush laid, and patrols increased. Yet the humans had anticipated every tactic, exploiting weaknesses and turning even the smallest misstep into advantage. Alien pride shattered, command hierarchies faltered, confidence eroded. The species that had once feared nothing now questioned. Every action in the shadow of humanity's relentless rise. By the end of this cycle, humans had secured multiple strategic sectors, disrupted enemy supply lines, and established a network of influence that even the Council could not control. What began as a species needing protection had become the galaxy's most unpredictable and formidable force. In the obsidian chamber, she stood still, calm, unwavering. The Council had intended oversight. They had hoped to manage, to protect, to control. Instead, humanity had rewritten the narrative entirely. Fragility had been a lie. Patience, ingenuity, and relentless determination had forged a power no one could ignore. The stage was set for the next phase, a decisive, unstoppable push that would ensure humanity's position as the galaxy's new paradigm. The galaxy had reached a tipping point. Everywhere humans moved, alien forces faltered, hesitant, disorganized, and fearful. The Council's pronouncements about fragile humans needing protection now sounded hollow, irrelevant, and absurd. What had been a doctrine of control had become a warning of incompetence. Every sector humans touched became a demonstration of precision, strategy, and audacity, showing the galaxy that underestimation was a costly mistake. In the Helier expanse, human fleets executed simultaneous operations across multiple star systems. Convoys carrying advanced technology and resources slipped past heavily fortified checkpoints. Ambushes designed to overwhelm human forces turned into traps for alien attackers, leaving fleets incapacitated and communications in disarray. Pilots moved like streaks of light through asteroid fields, drawing enemy fire away from critical assets, while engineers remotely disabled defensive grids with flawless timing. The aliens were forced to retreat, confused and humiliated, unable to anticipate what humans would do next. Within the Council chamber, panic was palpable. Delegates argued, accusations flying, voices raised. "Their coordination is beyond comprehension," one hissed. "Every time we counter, they adapt faster than we can respond." Another interjected, "They are not merely surviving, they are shaping the outcome. Humanity dictates terms now. Our fleets are ineffective, our protocols obsolete. Traditional arrogance had crumbled, replaced by fear." Even the most stalwart Council members now questioned everything they had assumed about the humans. The Elder watched quietly, his eyes reflecting distant starlight. "They are deliberate, they are relentless, and they are inevitable," he murmured. He had studied countless civilizations, observed empires rise and fall, And yet none had demonstrated the combination of patience, ingenuity, and audacity that humanity displayed. Every human action was purposeful, every move part of a larger, unstoppable pattern. The galaxy could no longer ignore them. On human worlds, the focus was not celebration, but preparation. Engineers refined systems, scientists analyzed alien strategies, and pilots practiced increasingly complex maneuvers. Children and apprentices were trained not only in skill, but in foresight, ensuring that knowledge, strategy, and ingenuity would continue to evolve. Every colony, every fleet, every human action became a node in an interstellar web of calculated influence and unstoppable potential. Alien forces, demoralized and confused, tried to reorganize. Strike teams were deployed, patrols increased, and fleets repositioned, but every action played into human hands. Humans had anticipated contingencies for every likely response, exploiting weaknesses, creating diversions, and turning even the vibe zone and in the vibe's smallest engagement into a demonstration of supremacy. Alien commanders began questioning every decision, hesitant to act, fearful of the unpredictable humans who seemed to anticipate their every thought. The Council had intended to monitor and protect humanity, but it had become abundantly clear that humans required no protection. The galaxy required vigilance, not against them, but to avoid provoking a force beyond comprehension. And humanity, patient and relentless, was already several steps ahead. By the end of this cycle, humans had firmly established control over multiple critical sectors, crippled alien patrols, and demonstrated an unprecedented mastery of strategy and adaptation. The Council, once arrogant, now faced a reality it could not escape. The species it dismissed as fragile had become the galaxy's most unpredictable and unstoppable force. And in the obsidian chamber, she stood, unwavering. Humanity's rise was no longer theoretical, it was undeniable. The Council had spoken of protection. Humans had turned it into a stage for dominance, ingenuity, and survival. The galaxy had ignored the truth for centuries, and now it was too late. Humanity would define the future. By the time the next cycle of operations began, humanity had become a force no one could ignore. Across multiple star systems, colonies functioned as integrated nodes in a vast network of intelligence, fleet coordination, and resource management. Every action, every movement was synchronized with precision that defied alien expectations. The species that the Council had once called fragile now dictated the flow of interstellar events, proving that survival, cunning, and adaptability could outmatch raw power. In the Orvillus cluster, human fleets executed a masterstroke of strategy. While alien forces prepared a massive assault, humans had already anticipated every route, every formation, every contingency. Decoy fleets drew fire into isolated zones, while the main fleets bypassed defenses entirely. Automated sabotage drones disabled key enemy systems, while human pilots executed gravity-defying maneuvers that disrupted targeting and communications. Alien commanders were forced into retreat, floundering against a species that seemed to anticipate their every move. Every human action was precise, deliberate, and terrifyingly effective. The Council's panic reached a fever pitch. Delegates argued over tactics and blame, their authority crumbling as reports of human success streamed in. "They are not just surviving, they are shaping the galaxy," one elder admitted. "They have turned our strategies against us and are redefining power." Another delegate whispered, "We cannot contain them. We cannot predict them. Everything we believed about fragility is a lie." Even centuries of accumulated wisdom could not reconcile the audacity and ingenuity humanity displayed. The elder watched silently from orbit, recognizing the inevitability that humans represented. They are not reckless, they are deliberate. Every victory is part of a larger plan, and every calculation is beyond our comprehension. The galaxy underestimated them, and that error will define the future. Human colonies functioned like living organisms, each part aware of the whole, every fleet, every settlement, every pilot contributing to a coordinated strategy that alien intelligence could not penetrate. On the ground and in orbit, humans continued their relentless preparation. Engineers refined warp drives, weapon systems, and defenses mid-operation. Pilots trained in maneuvers that pushed physics to its limits. Strategists ran simulations of every possible alien response, ensuring contingency plans for even the most unexpected moves. Children were trained in advanced skills, preparing them to inherit knowledge, strategy, and leadership that would further cement humanity's unstoppable trajectory. Alien forces, demoralized and confused, struggled to mount any meaningful resistance. Fleets that had once projected confidence now faltered. Operations failed before they began, and morale collapsed. The Council, once confident in its oversight, now faced the undeniable truth. Humans did not need protection. Humanity had become a force that could not be controlled, predicted, or contained by the end of this cycle. Humans had solidified dominance across critical sectors, crippled enemy fleets, and demonstrated a mastery of strategy and ingenuity that left the galaxy in awe. The stage was set for the ultimate demonstration of human power, a culmination of preparation, patience, and relentless execution that would forever redefine interstellar balance. And in the obsidian chamber, she remained calm, resolute, and unwavering. The Council had attempted to dictate terms. Humanity had rewritten them. Fragility was a myth. Protection was unnecessary. And the galaxy had no choice but to recognize the unstoppable force it had long dismissed. The future was no longer theirs to define. It belonged to humanity. The galaxy had reached a turning point. Across the stars, humans coordinated fleets, colonies. Every decision a step toward consolidating influence and reshaping interstellar dynamics. In the Adonis expanse, alien fleets attempted a decisive strike to reclaim lost territory. They were confident in their superior firepower and decades of experience. Yet humans had anticipated this. Stealth squadrons bypassed perimeter defenses, exploiting weaknesses in alien sensor grids. Sabotage drones disabled critical engines and weapon systems before a single shot could be fired. Human pilots, using both skill and intuition, maneuvered through asteroid fields and nebula storms, rendering the enemy's advantage useless. By the time the alien commanders realized what had happened, their fleet was incapacitated, retreating. In disarray, while humans secured the sector with minimal losses, the Council convened in what remained of their confidence. Arrogance had given way to fear, and fear to grudging respect. "They do not follow logic as we know it," admitted one elder, voice trembling. "They are not fragile. They are unstoppable." Another added, "We assume centuries of experience meant anything. Yet humans have redefined the parameters of intelligence, strategy, and resilience. We are no longer the architects of control. The galaxy belongs to them now. They have rewritten survival," he whispered. "They have turned every disadvantage into opportunity, every expectation into misdirection. The galaxy underestimated them, and that error will be remembered forever." Humanity itself moved with quiet confidence. Colonies thrived, fleets operated seamlessly, and strategic coordination expanded to previously uncharted sectors. Engineers, pilots, and strategists continuously refined operations, anticipating contingencies the galaxy could not foresee. Even children trained in advanced tactical and scientific skills contributed to the network of intelligence and preparedness that would ensure humanity's continued dominance. Every success, every small victory, was part of a grand design that no alien power could halt. Alien forces, now demoralized and fragmented, struggled to regroup. The Council, once confident in its ability to control or protect, faced the undeniable truth. Humanity required no oversight, no protection, no moderation. Humans were the defining power of the galaxy. Humans had secured dominance over critical sectors, crippled opposing forces. The galaxy had attempted to ignore them, to underestimate them, to impose limits, but every effort had failed. Humanity had not only survived scrutiny, they had mastered it. In the obsidian chamber, she stood unyielding, a figure of calm and determination. Fragility was a myth, oversight was irrelevant, and the galaxy had no choice but to recognize humanity's supremacy. The stage was set, the message was clear, and the future belonged to humans, patient, relentless, and unstoppable.